Have you ever stopped to think that some of the most dangerous habits for your health happen in the first 10 minutes of your day? And most people don't even notice. What if I told you that the way you start your morning could be silently shortening your life? Studies in preventive health show that the first hours after waking up directly influence your metabolism, hormonal system, heart health, and even the risk of chronic diseases, heart attacks, diabetes, neurodegenerative diseases. Many of these conditions begin to develop years before the first symptoms appear. And surprisingly, your morning habits can be one of the invisible triggers. But here is something even more interesting. Within modern medicine, and also within what we call vibrational medicine and galactic consciousness, there is a profound understanding. The human body functions as a multidimensional interface, responding not only to nutrients and hormones, but also to frequencies, natural rhythms, and energy patterns of the biofield. The ancients would call this vital balance. Today, scientists call it circadian regulation, neurobiology, and metabolic homeostasis. But the result is the same. If the morning starts wrong, the entire system falls into disharmony. And that is exactly why today we are going to reveal 5 morning habits that may be shortening your life, even if you think they are normal. Some of them are extremely common. In fact, millions of people do them every day. But we are also going to show you how to correct each one of them using simple strategies that can increase your energy, protect your brain, strengthen your heart, and raise your vital frequency. So before we continue, if this type of content about health, longevity, and elevated consciousness makes sense to you, click like, because it helps this knowledge reach more people. And write here in the comments, I choose longevity. This helps the algorithm understand that this content needs to reach more people who want to live with health. And of course, subscribe to the channel, because here we explore the union between health science, stellar intelligence, and human well-being. Now get ready, because the first habit is so common that you probably did it this morning. The galactic consciousness. Alert. Why the first hours of the morning define your longevity. There is a reason why doctors, sleep scientists, and longevity experts pay so much attention to the first hours after waking up. During the night, your body undergoes a deep process of cellular repair. Your brain eliminates toxins. Your tissues regenerate. Your immune system reorganizes its defenses. When you wake up, your organism enters a phase called circadian activation. It is at this moment that several processes begin to happen. Natural increase of healthy cortisol, activation of metabolism, adjustment of blood pressure, reorganization of brain functions. This process is extremely sensitive. Small choices you make right upon waking can strengthen or completely deregulate this system. It is like starting a computer. If the system initializes correctly, everything works well. But if something interferes right at the beginning, errors start to accumulate throughout the day. Now imagine this happening every day for years. This is how apparently innocent habits can contribute to chronic fatigue, silent inflammation, weight gain, accelerated aging, greater cardiovascular risk. In the perspective of Arcturian consciousness, we also understand that the human body possesses an energetic biofield. This biofield is highly sensitive to emotional states, breathing, natural light, and the environment in the first hours of the day. When you awaken in harmony with the natural rhythms of the earth, or as some would call it, with the morning light codes, your nervous system enters a state of biological coherence. But when the morning starts in stress, excessive stimulation, or hormonal deregulation, the biofield enters a constant state of alert. And this prolonged state of alert is directly associated with modern diseases such as hypertension, chronic anxiety, heart diseases, metabolic disorders. Now comes the most worrying part. Many of these imbalances start with small, apparently harmless habits. And the first one is something millions of people do before even getting out of bed. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about the number 1 morning habit that may be sabotaging your brain, your metabolism, and your daily energy. And if you do this every day, maybe it's time to reconsider. Habit number 1. Waking up and grabbing your phone immediately. Let's start with an extremely common habit. In fact, research shows that more than 80% of people grab their phones in the first minutes after waking up. Perhaps you do this without realizing it. The alarm rings. You open your eyes. And before even getting out of bed, you are already checking messages, social media, news, emails, notifications. It seems like something innocent, but from the standpoint of brain health and hormonal regulation, this can be one of the worst possible starts for your day. When you wake up, your brain is still in a delicate transition between the states of sleep and wakefulness. At this moment, a phenomenon called the cortisol awakening response occurs. This natural increase in cortisol is healthy. It helps to awaken the brain, increase focus, activate metabolism, prepare the body for the day. But when you grab your phone immediately, something different happens. Your brain receives an avalanche of emotional and cognitive stimuli. Information, worries, social comparisons, negative news. All of this instantly activates the brain's alert system. And the result can be an exaggerated spike in stress, anxiety, mental overload. In practice, you start the day in survival mode, not in balance mode. Now imagine repeating this every day for years. Researchers associate this pattern with increasing chronic anxiety, difficulty concentrating, greater mental fatigue, worse sleep quality at night. But there is another, even more interesting point. In the vision of stellar intelligence and vibrational medicine, the moment of awakening is when your biofield is most sensitive to external frequencies. It is as if the system were restarting its energetic connections. When the first frequency you receive is stress, comparison, or excess information, your energetic field enters disharmony in the very first waves of the day. Now here is an important question for you to reflect on. What is the first piece of information your mind receives every day? Because this may be defining the mental and physiological state of the next 16 hours of your life. What to do instead? The solution is simple and extremely powerful. Health experts recommend avoiding the phone in the first 15 to 30 minutes after waking up. Instead, breathe deeply for a few moments. Get up and move your body gently. Drink water to rehydrate the organism. Allow the brain to awaken naturally. These first minutes function as a calibration of the nervous system. In Arcturian language, we can say that you are stabilizing your biological frequency before interacting with the external world. And small changes at this moment can produce great effects over the years. Now get ready. Because the next morning habit is even more silent, and it directly affects your brain, your circulation, your daily energy. Without realizing it, millions of people start the day with their entire body dehydrated. And this can trigger a series of metabolic problems. Let's talk about that in the next chapter. Habit number 2, skipping morning hydration. Now think about something simple. When you wake up in the morning, for how many hours has your body been without water? For most people, the answer is between 7 and 9 hours. Throughout the night, your body continues to work intensely. The brain processes information, the lymphatic system eliminates toxins. The organs perform cellular repair. Breathing continues to evaporate water from the organism. In other words, when you awaken, your body is naturally dehydrated. And here is a fact that surprises many people. Even mild dehydration of only 1% to 2% of body weight in water can already cause significant effects such as fatigue difficulty, concentrating headache, slower metabolism. Now imagine starting the day without replenishing that water. Unfortunately, many people do exactly that. They wake up and go straight to coffee, phone, work, stress. But they forget the most basic need of the human body, cellular hydration. From a physiological standpoint, water has vital functions right in the first hours of the day. It helps to activate metabolism, improve blood circulation support, brain function, facilitate the elimination of toxins. Your blood is composed of about 90% water. When you wake up dehydrated, the blood becomes slightly more viscous, which requires more effort from the heart to circulate oxygen and nutrients. Now observe something interesting. Many people report that they wake up with tiredness, a sensation of a slow mind difficulty waking up, and they believe they need more coffee. But in many cases, the real problem is simply a lack of water. Your brain, which is composed of about 75% water, depends directly on hydration to function well. And when it is dehydrated, your cognitive performance can drop significantly. Now let's bring this to a broader perspective. In the vision of vibrational medicine, water is not just a biological liquid. It is also a conductor of energetic information within the body. Our organism functions as a complex network of electrical, chemical, and vibrational signals. Water helps to transport this information through the biofield and the cells. Therefore, when you start the day by hydrating the body, you are literally restoring the flow of cellular communication. Some researchers even call this process the morning metabolic restart. How to correct this habit? The recommendation of many preventive health experts is simple. Immediately after waking up, drink a large glass of water. Between 300 and 500 ml can already help a lot. Some people also like to add a few drops of lemon, a pinch of natural sea salt. This can help provide minerals and electrolytes, supporting cellular hydration. But the most important thing is the habit itself. Drinking water in the morning sends a clear signal to the organism. The day has begun and the body is being nourished. Small rituals like this help to stabilize the metabolism, the nervous system, and mental energy. Now we are going to talk about something that may surprise many people. There is an extremely popular morning habit that, if done at the wrong time, can mess up your hormones and increase anxiety throughout the day. Yes, we are talking about breakfast, or rather, coffee right upon waking. In the next chapter, you will understand why the timing of coffee can be much more important than most people imagine. Habit number 3, drinking coffee immediately upon waking. For millions of people around the world, the day simply does not start without coffee. The aroma, the heat of the cup, the sensation of waking up. Coffee has become almost a universal morning ritual, and the truth is that it has several benefits when consumed correctly. Studies show that coffee, in moderate amounts, can be associated with greater mental focus, improved cognitive performance, lower risk of some neurodegenerative diseases. But there is an extremely important detail that many people ignore. The moment you drink coffee can determine whether it helps or harms your organism. When you wake up, your body goes through a natural process of hormonal activation. One of the main hormones in this process is cortisol. Although many people associate cortisol only with stress, it has an essential function in the morning, to wake up the body and prepare the brain for the day. About 30 to 45 minutes after waking up, the so-called natural morning cortisol peak occurs. This increase helps to increase energy, improve the state of alertness, stimulate metabolism. Now here is the problem. If you drink coffee immediately upon waking, the caffeine interferes with this natural process. Your brain begins to depend on the artificial stimulus of caffeine instead of using its own biological awakening mechanism. Over time, this can generate some unwanted effects, such as greater tolerance to caffeine need for increasingly larger doses, morning anxiety spikes, and drops in energy throughout the day. Many people report a curious pattern. They drink coffee right upon waking. They feel energy for a while, but a few hours later they experience sudden tiredness or irritability. This happens because the hormonal system was activated in a disorganized way. Now let's observe this under the perspective of Arcturian consciousness and stellar intelligence. In the first moments of awakening, the body is tuning its biological frequency with the natural cycle of the Earth. This alignment is influenced by factors such as natural light body movement, breathing, hydration. When the first strong stimulus you offer to the body is caffeine, this natural tuning can be interrupted before it stabilizes. It is like trying to rev an engine before it is completely warmed up. So should we stop drinking coffee? Not necessarily. Science shows that coffee can be part of a healthy routine. The main issue is the timing. Chronobiology experts suggest waiting about 60 to 90 minutes after waking up before consuming coffee. This small interval allows the natural cortisol peak to happen without interference. During this time, you can hydrate the body, move around a bit, receive natural light, do deep breathing or stretching. After that, the coffee acts as an energy booster, not as a substitute for natural awakening. And this simple change can completely transform your energy throughout the day, your concentration, and your emotional stability. Now let's talk about a habit that almost no one notices, but that can profoundly affect your biological clock, your metabolism, and even your sleep at night. And it all starts with something extremely simple: morning light. In the next chapter, you will discover why not receiving natural light first thing can completely deregulate your body. Habit number 4. Not receiving natural light in the first hours of the day. There is an extremely powerful factor that regulates practically all the systems of your body, and it is completely free. Morning sunlight. It may seem like something too simple to have a deep impact on health, but modern science has discovered that natural light is one of the main regulators of the human biological clock, also called the circadian rhythm. This internal clock controls essential functions such as hormone production, metabolism, body temperature, sleep, and wake cycles, functioning of the immune system. Inside the brain, there is a small region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, located in the hypothalamus. This area functions as the conductor of the biological clock, and it receives information directly from the eyes about the intensity and the type of light present in the environment. When you receive natural light early in the morning, especially in the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking up, your brain understands a clear message. The day has begun, and immediately it begins to adjust various biological processes, among them gradual reduction of melatonin, the sleep hormone, stabilization of morning cortisol, activation of metabolism, increase in mental clarity. Now let's imagine the opposite scenario. Many people start the day inside closed environments, with artificial light. They wake up, grab the phone, stay inside the house, or go directly into a car to go to work. Without realizing it, they spend hours without receiving enough natural light. The problem is that common artificial light is much weaker than sunlight. For the brain, this creates a confusing signal. The circadian system becomes deregulated, and over time, this can contribute to problems such as difficulty waking up, constant tiredness, insomnia, changes in metabolism, greater risk of depression. Now let's look at this under the perspective of vibrational medicine and galactic consciousness. Sunlight is not just luminous energy, it carries electromagnetic information that interacts with the human biofield. Some researchers describe sunlight as a regulating signal for the body's bioenergetic systems. In Arcturian language, we can say that morning light helps to recalibrate your biological frequency with the energetic field of the planet. When you receive natural light early on, your body enters a state of coherence between biology and environment, and this coherence is associated with greater emotional stability, better sleep quality, more energy throughout the day. How to correct this habit? Fortunately, the solution is extremely simple. Experts recommend receiving between 5 and 15 minutes of natural light in the morning. This can be done in several ways: opening the window and letting the light in, having breakfast near natural light, walking for a few minutes outdoors, standing on the balcony or in the yard. Even a short period of exposure can already send a powerful signal to the brain. It is like pressing the sync button on your biological clock. Now we are going to talk about a morning habit that many people consider normal, but that can activate a state of silent stress right at the beginning of the day. This habit does not involve food, coffee, or phones. It involves the emotional state with which you start your morning. And this can profoundly influence your blood pressure, your nervous system, and your longevity. Let's explore this in the next chapter. Habit number 5. Starting the day in a state of stress or haste. Now let's talk about something that many people consider simply part of the modern routine. Waking up already worried, getting up in a rush, thinking immediately about problems, bills, appointments, and responsibilities. For many people, the morning starts like this. The alarm ringing several times, rushing to get out of bed, a mind full of worries, a constant sensation of being late. The problem is that this pattern immediately activates the brain's survival mode. When you start the day in a rush or with anxiety, your nervous system enters an alert state. The body interprets this as if it were facing a threat, and immediately it releases a series of substances such as adrenaline, elevated cortisol, increased heart rate. In small doses, this mechanism is useful. It helps us react to dangerous situations. But when this state becomes the default way of starting every day, it begins to generate negative effects in the organism. Studies in cardiovascular health show that people who live in a constant state of morning stress can present increased blood pressure, greater risk of heart diseases, worse sleep quality, greater inflammation in the body. And there is an interesting phenomenon. The emotional state you experience in the first hours of the day tends to set the tone for the coming hours. If the morning starts in tension, the brain begins to look for more reasons to maintain that state. This creates a cycle called cognitive stress bias. You start the day tense, and the brain interprets the rest of the day through that same lens. Now let's look at this under a broader perspective. In the vision of Arcturian consciousness, the morning emotional state directly influences the balance of the human biofield. When the mind enters a state of anxiety right upon awakening, the nervous system sends signals of disharmony to the entire body. This can affect the immune system, digestion, mental clarity, vital energy. It is like starting the day with the nervous system already overloaded, and over time, this overload can contribute to physical and emotional wear and tear. How to transform this pattern? The solution is not to eliminate responsibilities, but rather to create a small space of stability before entering the rhythm of the external world. Mental health and longevity experts suggest something simple. Reserve 5 to 10 minutes immediately after waking up to slow down the nervous system. This can include practices such as deep breathing, light stretching, a few minutes of silence, a brief walk, or simply drinking water calmly. These few minutes help the brain start the day in a state of balance, not in a state of threat. In the language of stellar intelligence, we can say that you are adjusting your internal frequency before interacting with the external frequencies of the world. And this small adjustment can produce profound effects on health over the years. Now that we understand the 5 morning habits that may be shortening your life, it's time to talk about something even more important: how to transform your mornings into a true health and longevity protocol. In the next chapter, we are going to reveal a simple ritual of a few minutes that can reorganize your metabolism, your nervous system, and your biofield right at the beginning of the day, the Arcturian morning ritual. 5 minutes that reprogram your biofield. Now that you already know the 5 morning habits that may be sabotaging your health, a natural question arises. What to do then to start the day the right way? The good news is that you don't need complicated routines, expensive supplements, or hours of preparation. In fact, preventive health experts agree on something surprising. Small, consistent actions in the first hours of the morning can completely transform your health over the years. In the perspective of Arcturian consciousness, the first hours of the day are a moment of great sensitivity for the organism. It is when your multidimensional body, physical, neurological, and energetic, is recalibrating its systems. If you offer the right stimuli at this moment, a kind of alignment is created between biology, mind, and vital frequency. This is why many call this period the programming window of the day. And there is an extremely simple ritual that can take advantage of this moment. Let's call it the 5-minute Arcturian morning ritual. 1. Conscious hydration. The first step is something basic yet powerful. Immediately upon waking, drink a large glass of water. This helps to activate metabolism, improve circulation, awaken the brain, start digestive processes. In the vision of vibrational medicine, water also helps to re-establish the flow of communication between cells and biofield. 2. Deep breathing. The second step takes only 1 minute. Take 5 deep and slow breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling slowly through the mouth. This simple gesture helps to reduce stress and stabilize the nervous system. 3. Natural light. Next, seek to receive morning natural light. Open the window, go to the balcony, or walk for a few minutes outdoors. This helps to synchronize the biological clock and improves energy during the day. 4. Gentle movement. The body was made to move right after awakening. It doesn't need to be intense exercise. It can be something simple like light stretching or joint mobility. This helps to activate circulation and lubricate the joints. 5. Intention for the day. Finally, reserve a few seconds to define the mental state with which you want to live the day. Ask yourself, how do I want to live the next hours? With calm, with clarity, with presence. When these 5 steps are done together, they create a powerful effect of regulating the nervous system, metabolism, and biofield. And the most important thing, all of this takes less than 5 minutes. Now, before we finish, we need to talk about something essential, because longevity doesn't depend only on avoiding errors. It depends on creating consistent patterns of health over the years. In the next chapter, we're going to reveal the true secret of people who live longer, with more energy and fewer diseases. The secret of longevity: how to transform your mornings into a health protocol. After everything we have seen so far, one thing becomes very clear. Longevity does not depend on a single miracle food, nor on a special supplement, nor on a secret technique. It depends on small decisions repeated every day. And few decisions are as powerful as the way you start your morning. Research on longevity in regions known as blue zones, places in the world where people live over 90 or even 100 years, shows something interesting. These populations do not follow complicated routines, but almost all possess consistent morning rituals that include light movement, exposure to natural light, balanced eating, and starting the day with calm. These habits help the body start the day in a state of physiological balance, not in a state of stress. And when this pattern repeats for decades, the effects accumulate. Less inflammation, more hormonal stability, better cardiovascular health, greater mental clarity. Now let's observe this under an even broader perspective. In the vision of Arcturian consciousness, the human body is not just a biological organism. It is a multi-dimensional interface of living intelligence which responds constantly to the environment, emotions, and frequencies around it. When your mornings start in harmony with natural rhythms, with hydration, light, breathing, and movement, the body enters a state called biological coherence. This state is associated with better functioning of the nervous system, greater emotional stability, more vital energy, greater capacity for cellular regeneration. It is as if the organism were operating at its ideal frequency of functioning. And over the years, this makes an enormous difference. Therefore, instead of thinking of longevity as something distant, think of it as a result of the small choices you make right after waking up. Because every morning is a new opportunity to say to your body, today, we are going to take care of life. Today, we explored 5 silent morning habits that may be shortening your life without you realizing it. Let's quickly recap. Waking up and grabbing the phone immediately overloads the brain and increases stress. Not hydrating the body in the morning harms the metabolism and brain function. Drinking coffee too early interferes with natural cortisol regulation. Not receiving natural light deregulates the biological clock. Starting the day in a state of stress activates the survival mode of the nervous system. The good news is that all of these habits can be transformed with simple, small changes. And when you add the morning ritual of hydration, breathing, natural light, movement, and intention, something powerful happens. Your body enters a state of biological balance and elevated frequency. And this can mean more energy, more mental clarity, better health over the years. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these habits did you notice you do every day? Write here in the comments. I am going to transform my mornings. This helps to reinforce this commitment to your health. And if this video brought something valuable to you, click like and share it with someone in your family. Because often a small habit can save years of life. And if you want to continue learning about preventive health, longevity, and elevated consciousness, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.